And turning now to the one-year anniversary of the Antares rocket explosion at NASA Wallops Island. It was an unmanned rocket destroyed just seconds after liftoff. Earlier in our newscast, we explained how a new test flight is planned for this next spring now that the launch pad has been repaired, but the failed launch investigation is still far from over. 47 ABC's Lili Zhang joins us now live in the studio. Lili, you were reporting from Wallops Island on the day of that ill-fated launch. You, your photographer, dozens of spectators were standing just 2 miles away from that explosion. How did it feel to be back there again 1 year later?
Emily, this may sound weird. I was actually so excited to go back this morning to see how things have changed. Last year, everything started with high hopes for that mission. You may recall that initial launch was actually scrubbed the night before, so a lot of people were looking forward to that relaunch. Part of what made the events of that night so shocking was the fact that it was a beautiful night for launch, with great weather and exceptional launch conditions, but NASA officials say so much can happen with these launches.
That's true. Now, while you were out at NASA today, one member of Mission Control did give you an update. What did she have to say?
Well, to start, she confirmed that to this day, they are still investigating.
Sarah Daugherty sits in the control center, the same area in which she was 1 year ago, watching the Antares rocket from a tracking camera when it malfunctioned just seconds after liftoff. As protocol, Daugherty explains a self-destruct button had to be hit, exploding the spacecraft in mid-air.
I wouldn't say panic. It was just a few seconds of, that just innate human reaction like, wow, this is really happening. Like, almost just like a split second of shock.
When that initial shock wore off, she says Mission Control jumped into action. The NASA test director says crews were instructed to initiate their mishap plan, notifying the hazmat team and the fire department. The rocket was carrying about 5,000 pounds of cargo to resupply the International Space Station. That cargo came crashing down into the hazard zone as scattered flaming debris. Now that the launch pad, owned by the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, also known as Mars, has been repaired, the job at Wallops is to complete performance tests and verify all repairs have been done successfully.
So we're testing things like the fueling system and the liquid oxygen systems, and just to be sure that all the commodities out there required to fuel the rocket are working properly.
NASA's role is to continue examining the explosion site from a bird's eye view, fine-tuning their emergency plans and applying it to future missions. And there's the actual rocket itself. Orbital Sciences, the manufacturer of Antares, has completed its own investigation.
From that day, we know it was a failure of the main engine, but the specific reason or piece of hardware that failed, we don't know.
A representative from Orbital Sciences tells 47 ABC they have provided a report to the FAA and has confirmed what Daugherty says, that it was most likely a defect in their main engine. Now, in terms of the launch pad, we're told by NASA that the cost to repair it was around $15 million. That cost was split evenly between Orbital, NASA, and Mars. Emily, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much for your report, Lili. That's 47 ABC's Lili Zhang reporting live from our studio tonight.